Hi everybody, I'm Jack. I'm founder and CEO of Smartling. Behind every great company is a great team, and we've been fortunate enough to be backed by some really incredible institutional investors. We have some amazing individual investors and advisors, and our executive management team has relevant experience in exactly what we're doing, which is building and starting companies and content delivery, network content delivery. I don't think anybody's going to be surprised that it's a world wide web. I'm sure everybody has seen a slide that looks like this that says, you know, the internet is growing, but the real story is the growth is not occurring here in the US, it's in the rest of the world. So the elephant in the room, or the elephant in the net, is that 70% of all global internet users prefer a language other than English. The bottom line, 1.4 billion people can't read your website. So with that opportunity, why don't more companies translate and localize their website? Well, because frankly, it's a pain in the ass. It's old workflows applied to a new medium. It's old school, it's heavy enterprise software, it's slow turnaround, it's very, very expensive. What should it be? It should be SaaS. It should be real time, and you should have a choice of flexible translation options, including crowdsourcing your translations. Smartling is the first and only platform built from the ground up for translating and delivering web and mobile translated content from the cloud. That's where we operate. How does it work? You make a simple DNS edit, and then Smartling delivers your French, Spanish, whatever language site via the cloud, via our translation delivery network, our TDN. And some of the hottest companies on the web are using it now. Let's take a look at one of them. Here's Foursquare in English, here it is in Japanese. And you'll see that not only are we delivering the Japanese content here, but we're also baking in tools that facilitate the translation process. So what does this mean? It means that you're up and running in multiple languages with human translation in just weeks. It means a tremendous return on investment. It means that businesses of all sizes can reach a global audience.
Time is up, time's up.
And my time is up.
Questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
What's your accuracy rate, and what happens when the translation is not accurate?
Sure. So we provide some flexible translation options, and so we let the client choose, would you like to use professional translators? Would you like to use machine translations in very limited cases? Or would you like to use your crowd if you have a crowd of people that probably know your service better than the most professional translator out there? They use it every day. So it's an art, not a science, and we're big fans of human translation. Machine translation is good for certain things, but human is typically better. And so what we do, as you saw from the demonstration in the Foursquare site, you can see that what we've done there is we've baked in tools so it's fully contextualized so that the translators know exactly what they're translating. Does home mean my house, or does home mean the first page of my site? Well, when it's right in context, you see it. So, and because we make that available in the site, it's Wikipedia style for the crowd. So if somebody says, hey, this isn't quite right, authorized translators can go in there and improve it.
Can you tell me about your team?
Sure, the team's terrific. So fantastic investors and advisors, and all of these investors and advisors understand that this is really a software platform. We're not a translation agency. This is a content delivery, a network content delivery play. Think of us like the Akamai of translations. So we have very relevant experience in everything from video streaming, folks coming out of Feedroom, folks coming out of Semantic around network and network security, folks that are used to dealing with you know, what probably would have been defined as the cloud years ago of lockers of data being distributed around the world. What we're really trying to do is say, why would you want to translate this yourself, and why would you want to build something that may take 6 or 12 months when you can use a service that will take it off your hands automatically? And our team is great at that.
So let me make sure I understand. It's not a dynamic translation. It's something that you do for the company, and you're going to need to continue to update it.
Yep,
how does
that's
the
right.
update schedule work? How's that?
That's right. So a client could choose to use machine translation. They could say, hey, let me use a machine translation to do this. And a common question is, well, how is that different from Google Translate? The answer to that is, well, we're fully SEO compatible, which ironically, Google Translate is not. They're a search engine, but Google Translate will never bring new people to your site, whereas ours will. Also, Google Translate doesn't work over SSL and forms and things like that. So that's one option that they can do that will give them an advantage over Google Translate. The other thing that we do is we bake in tools so that your authorized crowd, suppose you have 100,000 members that are really engaged and really excited about your service, as we do with many of our clients. They can say, I'd really like to participate in this process, just like Facebook crowdsourced translated their site, just like Twitter has done in the past and is doing right now. This is basically a drop-in, and we drop in tools, and authorized users are able to come in and say, let me actually participate in that process. And there's a variety of reasons why they would want to do it. Maybe they love the service, maybe they want their friends to engage in it, maybe they have some free time and they're excited about it, maybe they're just tired of doing the translation in their head, but we've got really terrific experiences with people doing that. Did that answer your question? Thank you.
Yes.
Tell us more about how you're charging, how much, what.
Yep. So since we're not a translation agency, we make no money on the translations. So if you say, I want to use my crowd to do it, terrific. That's free on a per word basis. There's no additional charge for that. If you say, hey, we actually don't really have a crowd and we'd like to use your professional translators, we have a network of professional freelance translators positioned around the world, same translators used by the biggest companies in the world, we pass their costs straight through. We are a software delivery platform, and essentially we bill based on volume. It's a SaaS play, so you can drop it in immediately and you pay for what you use. And so the more, it's really a page view model. So the more that you use this, the more that people are coming and engaging on your French or Spanish or Italian site, the more that you pay. If they don't, then you don't.
So can you give me an example then with real numbers?
Sure. I mean, so we are delivering about 400 million page views a month through our network, almost a 500 million page views through our network a month. We have NetOps experience to be able to do this via the cloud, and we have some clients that are paying anywhere from a few $1,000s to tens of thousands of dollars, and then we have we've just recently launched a full self-service. Come and sign up yourself, and that could be either free, it's a freemium service for very low page view volumes, or even a couple $100s a month to get started. So the idea is we're trying to make this available. The idea is that the head of the market has been well served for a long, long time. The top 300 internet sites, they're well served, we're not going after them. They've done it the hard way, they did a lot of heavy lifting that may have taken them 6 to 12 months of building. And we think the very extreme long tail probably isn't terribly valuable, but we think there's an entire trunk in the middle that is completely unserved, and no one has offered this type of software and capability in the past. And that's what we're going after.
Can you say a little bit more about how you deal with dynamic content?
Sure.
Particularly in the scenario where maybe you start with some machine translation and then you get the crowd that says, no, it's a lousy translation, and like that dynamic content then shows up again somewhere else
Sure.
on the Foursquare site, and how does that all tie together?
Totally. So machine translation, let's just take that out of the picture for a minute. Let's
Okay.
just assume that it came in as English. Let's use that as an example. And then the crowd is going to engage on it. So a couple of our clients use continuous deployment, where they're literally deploying code, 10, 15, even 100 times a day. Where does translation fit into that process? Well, you can't wait to go, hey, let me get this translated, wait for it to come back, and whatever. So they push it live, and our job is then to immediately surface it to the right translators. Maybe it's the crowd, maybe it's professionals, and make that available to get translated as quickly as possible. That might be 5 minutes later, it might be 10 minutes later, it might be 15 minutes later, it might be an hour later. It's definitely not 3 weeks later. It's definitely not 2 months later to make that happen. And so think of it as sort of the community engaged in almost Wikipedia style, or if it's professional, they're on it, they do their job, they get it in there, and they can push it live from there. So that's really what we're doing. I'm not sure how else translation can fit into a deployment that is that agile.
What about, I'm thinking about like a scenario, like let's say you have a site that's focused around, let's say movies. And so there's names of films that appear all over the site.
Sure.
They may have different names in different regions.
Yep.
So it's not even really a translation task, it's sort of understanding that the movie had a different name in a different place. How do you like, so as the crowd or even just the original translator makes those translations, how do you tie that data back to the presentation of that movie on, hundreds of different places in the user experience?
Right, so we are delivering the Japanese version or the Spanish version or
Yep.
the French version real time as the user is requesting it. So when that has been translated, it will come through. Now there are going to be some movie titles, if I understand your question right, there are going to be some movie titles that won't change. There are some, The Spy Who Shagged Me sounds like something that seems appropriate and is okay in the US, but probably isn't that appropriate in Britain, where they may actually make that change. And we're going to know that for UK English, this is the most recent version of it, and to deliver that appropriately, and also to make it available to whoever the translators are, maybe the community of this movie site that loves it, to make it available and to push it from there. Fully SEO compatible, so people who are looking for that movie or whatever are going to find it on the web and make it available.
I guess I'm struggling with like the semantics of it. So let's say you have a movie called Hotel in the US, and it has some other name in Japan.
Yep.
That word hotel may well appear lots and lots of places on the website in question. Sometimes it's talking about the movie, sometimes it's not. How do you understand sort of semantically when you should translate, when you shouldn't?
So a big part of what we do is how we break down a page into individual linguistic components to handle exactly that case. Is home the place where I live, or is it my home page? Is hotel the name of a movie, or is it something, on the Hipmunk site? And so we take care of all of that, and we have techniques to make sure that the right things are being translated and that they're being put in the right place, and that we're not going to have confusion from there. Still an art, not a science. It's human translation, but our clients really seem to be very happy, and the bottom line is it's ROI focused. It's not enough to just say, boy, wouldn't it be great if my site was in French? It has to be a return on investment. We've got some incredible stories. We have one client who has literally generated a 10x plus return on investment, multi-million-dollar investment, new international incremental revenue from this. We have another that has crowdsourced their entire site into 14 languages in 3 weeks. We have examples of pardon me?
What languages, what geographies are creating the most demand for you?
So French, Italian, German, Spanish, Portuguese, Japanese, Chinese. Those are kind of the big ones. And if you do about 8 languages, you can reach about 85% of the world. If you do 12, you can reach about 93% of the world. The important aspect of this is that people want to buy products and services in their native language. So if you do 12 to 14 languages, you're going to cover most people. It's by the way, a 6-to-1 ratio. Studies show that if you have something in a native language, they're 6 times more likely to buy it than if you don't, even if they're comfortable with English. So if you do about 8 to 12 languages, you're covering a significant portion. About 12 to 14, you're in really good shape. But the question is, if it was free to do this, if essentially you had power users in Romania and Poland, I don't want to pick on any countries, in Iceland, that said, I'd really like to participate in this process and I'd be happy to help you translate this, why wouldn't you do that if it helped you to grow your user base? And that's really what we're offering. Think about what Facebook and Twitter have had to spend 6 to 12 months to build into their application. It's a drop-in with a DNS change.
All
Thank
right.
you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.